In 1927, Jim Elliot began his life in Portland, Oregon. His mother, Clara, was a chiropractor, and his father, Fred, a minister. Jim knew Christ from an early age and was never afraid to speak about him. At age 6, Jim told his mother, "Now, Mama, the Lord Jesus can come whenever he wants. He could take our whole family because I'm saved now, and Jane is too young to know him yet." In high school, Jim carried a small Bible with him and was an excellent speaker. He was often found speaking out for Christ. He and his friends were not afraid to step out and find adventure. One thing Jim didn't have time for in those early years were girls. He was once quoted as telling a friend, "Domesticated males aren't much use for adventure." In 1945, Jim entered Wheaton College. His main goal while he was there was to devote himself to God. He would start each morning with prayer and Bible study. In his journal he wrote, "None of it gets to be old stuff, for it's Christ in print, the living Word. We wouldn't think of rising in the morning without a face wash, but we often neglect the purgative cleansing of the Word of the Lord. It wakes us up to our responsibility." Jim's desire to serve God by taking the gospel to unreached people of the world began to grow while at Wheaton. Jim met Elizabeth Howard at Wheaton. There was a definite attraction, but Jim felt he needed to be unencumbered by worldly concerns in order to devote himself completely to God. He hoped one day to travel to foreign countries to share Christ with the unchurched of the world. He also felt he needed to share with the people of the United States. On Sundays while at Wheaton, he would often talk to people in Chicago train stations about Christ. He frequently felt ineffective in his work as the time of knowingly leading to people to Christ were few. He once wrote, "No fruit yet. Why is it that I am so unproductive? I cannot recall leading more than one or two to the kingdom. Surely this is not the manifestation of the power of the resurrection. I feel as Rachel, give me children or else I'll die." In June of 1950, he learned how to study the unwritten languages of missionaries to the Ecuadorian jungle. Because of this lessons, he began to pray for guidance about going to Ecuador and later felt compelled to answer the call there. In February 1952, Jim finally left America to travel to Ecuador. In May, Elizabeth moved there also and began courtship. It was Jim's desire to be able to reach the remote and very savage Wadani tribe there that lived deep in the jungles. A Wadani woman who left the tribe was taken in by the missionaries and helped them to learn the language. Jim and his missions team began to search the plain in hopes of finding a way to contact the Wadani. They finally found a sandbar in the middle of the river that worked as a landing strip. It was there that they first made contact with the Wadani. They were elated to finally be able to share the love of Christ with them. After their first meeting, one of the tribe, a man called George, lied to the tribes about the man's intentions. This lie led the Wadani warriors to plan an attack when the missionaries returned. The men did return on January 8, 1956, where they were surprised by 10 members of the tribe who massacred the missionaries. Their names were Jim Elliot, Ed McCauley, Roger Yonderin, Pete Fleming, and the pilot Nate Saint. Jim's short life was filled with the desire to share God's love and can be summed up by a quote that is attributed to him. "He is no fool which gives what he cannot keep, to gain what he cannot lose."
Special thanks to Inspirational Christians for use of their written biographies. Please visit inspirationalchristians.org for more biographies and articles.